Hey everybody, and thanks for clicking on this video and checking out my channel. Leading up to Avengers Endgame, I'm looking back at all the Marvel Cinematic Universe movies in preparation for the big event. If you'd like to join me for this journey, I welcome you to do so, and leave your comments and opinions down in the comment section below about these movies. I want to have a fun conversation started with you. Our lineup of movies so far has brought us to Captain America, the First Avenger. So let's talk about it. But I don't want you to just hear my thoughts and opinions, I want to hear your thoughts and opinions, so make sure to comment down below what you thought about this movie. And with all that out of the way, let's talk about Captain America, the First Avenger. So Captain America, the First Avenger is directed by Joe Johnston, and stars Chris Evans as Steve Rogers, a skinny kid from Brooklyn who wants nothing more than to do his part in fighting World War II. When he gets the opportunity to participate in an experiment to create super soldiers, Steve becomes Captain America and fights to take down the evil organization of Hydra, led by Red Skull, played by Hugo Weaving. A big criticism and problem that people have with this movie is that they montage through all the Captain America stuff. This doesn't bother me because when the filmmakers went out to make this movie, I don't feel like they went out to make an Adventures of Captain America movie. World War II is really just a backdrop for this story and its setting. Much like the first Iron Man movie, this is once again a character study on our hero, this time with Steve Rogers, and his transformation from skinny kid from Brooklyn to leader and symbol of the country, Captain America. This story is one of my favorite origin stories in the MCU and in comic book movies in general. Chris Evans plays this character with so much modesty and humility, and skinny Steve Rogers is some of my favorite parts of this movie. And the character's heart and desires still remain the same even after his transformation into Captain America. And to see this character's journey and how he evolves into a leader, and the roadblocks that he had to face to get there, people treating him as a joke when he started off as just a propaganda piece, makes him earning that position of leader all that much more satisfying. In the MCU today, Steve Rogers and Captain America just ooze confidence and are respected by everyone around them. It's really fun to go back and see little Steve Rogers bullied, picked on, and mocked, and treated as a joke by everyone around him. Which leads to some really funny commentary by Tommy Lee Jones as the general who just keeps brushing Steve off. It really isn't until Steve saves Bucky and the rest of the troops that he really comes into his role as Captain America, the hero, and starts earning his respect and his leadership role. Up until then, the only person who had any faith in him was Peggy Carter, portrayed by Hayley Atwell. It's a shame that this character couldn't have a bigger role in these movies. I understand it works for the story, and it's needed for the story that she doesn't appear in any more of the movies, but she was such an awesome character. She did have a pretty good TV show that unfortunately was cancelled pretty fast, but I would have liked to have seen her more in these movies. But I understand that for the story's sake, that she couldn't really have a bigger role in the rest of these movies. But she was such a great character, and Hayley Atwell portrayed her with so much heart and edge, while also letting us get a peek at her humanity. I really liked the character of Peggy Carter. And her and Steve's attraction to each other is very sweet. It's kind of like a high school romance, an unspoken thing. They both like each other, but none of them will flat out admit it. And Chris Evans and Hayley Atwell as Steve Rogers and Peggy Carter bring a lot to those scenes. If the chemistry wasn't right, this romance would not work at all. But the way that they give each other little looks, and the way that they eye each other up, and the way that you can just tell through their performance that they see something in each other more than just friends or co-workers or colleagues. That just adds a lot more to their relationship and chemistry and makes you really root for this couple. Even though they don't really have many scenes that are necessarily romantic with each other. It's really just a lot of flirting with the sense of a will they, won't they kind of vibe. But that romance is really important for the rest of the MCU, and I think that it's captured and portrayed pretty well here and strong enough that I do get emotionally invested in this couple. And the character of Red Skull is funny because I've always said that I loved that villain, but watching this movie back again, he really doesn't do all that much. Hugo Weaving has a threatening presence to him whenever he's on screen, but he really is just a generic take-over-the-world bad guy. But that idea does have a little bit more to it when you place it in a World War II setting. At least to me it does. I think what makes this character so memorable is strictly the fact that Hugo Weaving played him, and how he played him, and the makeup effect on him is pretty cool. I think Red Skull looks pretty awesome. The bright red face really stands out. And the connections made to the greater MCU in this movie build the world tremendously. The Tesseract that we saw in Thor is what Red Skull and Hydra are using to do experiments on and create new weapons with. And having young Howard Stark working with Captain America in World War II is great. Not only does the actor have a great resemblance to Robert Downey Jr., but this decision also builds and adds to the world because it sets up a connection between Captain America, Steve Rogers, and Iron Man, Tony Stark, which we'll see play out later on in Marvel films in a much bigger way. And in the end, I really enjoy the first Captain America. I think it's one of the most underrated movies in the MCU. The only thing I wish we saw more of was Steve making more connections and relationships with the squad of troops that he takes on missions with him. It really would have added to the tragedy of all them being dead when Steve wakes up in the future, and if I had gotten attached to those characters, I would have felt like I could mourn with Steve, because then I would have felt something too when I found out that they were dead. It just seems like a little bit of a missed opportunity to me. But as it is, the first Captain America movie I think is a really good movie. It sets this character and the trilogy up beautifully, and I think that this movie and what Joe Johnston did with this movie actually deserves a little bit more recognition. Anyway guys, that's my thoughts on Captain America the First Avenger, but what did you think of Captain America the First Avenger? Do you like it? Do you love it? Do you hate it? Do you think it's just alright? Do you find it boring? And do you have a problem with them montaging through the Captain America missions? Comment down below, let me know what you thought about this movie, and I'd love to get a conversation started with you. Guys, Endgame is approaching fast, and I'm going to be back soon talking more MCU movies. If you'd like to join me with that before the release of Endgame, I welcome you to do so, and I would love to have you back to talk these movies with me. Once again, guys, my name's Zachary Milne. Thank you for talking movies with me, and I hope you have yourself a great day.